Thank you so much for joining us on time for our webinar on scam proofing your life and exploring AI government and business scams. So I just wanted to introduce ourselves as Senior Tech Connect. Thanks, Angie, for joining us moving forward, and I'll push it over to Angie to talk through the presentation today.
Today we're going to take a look at some common company and government specific scams, how these fraudsters will try to trick you into believing that they're trying to contact you from a legitimate business, how we can identify and protect ourselves from these scammers. And then, in the event that we do fall victim to one of these scams, we will talk at the end on we'll give you some information on where to report fraud. And then also, we're going to take a look at some AI type scams, which are very common nowadays. Um, so, if for many of you who are new, who don't know anything about Senior Tech Connect, we are coming up on our second anniversary as a corporation. And to date, we've taught about 16,000 elder adults. And Cole and I are pretty obsessed, I would say, about cybersecurity. It is by far, one of our most important missions to educate, prepare, teach senior citizens on what to look for, how to protect yourselves, and how to be careful not to fall prey to these fraudsters. With AI coming so fast and things advancing so quickly, they're getting harder and harder to detect. They're getting more sophisticated and much more aggressive. And I just took a few of these headlines that I saw, over the course of a week. And if you take a look, convert your cash into gold in Japan, right? Bermuda police, man scams $4 million from mostly elderly victims. And the point of this story is that on a daily basis, this is happening. People are getting scammed across the country and across the world. This is like a global phenomenon. This is not, specific to any one place. And unfortunately, I am reading, on a daily basis how senior citizens are losing their life savings to these types of scams. So for Cole and I, this is something very, very personal, and we really try to educate ourselves as best we can on the latest upcoming scams and to bring you that information.
And as Angie said, we are, as an organization, tied in with our local district attorneys, whether it be in San Diego County or South Florida, with the FBI, the Federal Trade Commission. And what we're seeing is that a lot of these federal and state and local organizations do not have the bandwidth to provide the community education and engagement to help people protect themselves. So hopefully we're excited to continue to build our presence and our following to help the community in our partners, nonprofit, for-profit organizations like AARP, like Operation Shamrock that are doing great things to protect not only older adults, but people of all ages from scams. So we are going to jump right into the first type of impersonation scam that we see quite often, and that is Amazon. And before I dive into this, I just want to say that just because you see a logo of a company or of an organization or the IRS, for example, that does not mean that that is legitimate communication, whether it be a text, a email, even a piece of mail. We're seeing logos that are being copied all over the place. And just like we did on this presentation, we took Amazon's logo and we just popped it right there. So just keep that in mind as we go through some of these types of impersonation scams. But Amazon will never ask you to disclose your password or your sensitive personal information over the phone or on any website other than Amazon.com or their app. So you should only trust the Amazon owned channels. If you see something that is asking you for a heightened sense of urgency to do something now, and we're going to talk about that with the packages and the shipping, never trust it. Never trust. There's nothing that is that urgent that's going to be an issue. Never pay over the phone. Always verify links first. And what we really mean by this when it comes to Amazon is that you should be checking the message center. So if you go to your Amazon account, whether it's via online on your web portal or via the app, in your account section, you have your messages. Any issues with your account or your packages or your deliveries will be a message in that message center. They will not text you, they will not call you, and they will not email you about it. So please be disciplined about that. If you see anything coming across your email or getting communication, excuse me, that you think might be a scam, you can report it to amazon.com/report a scam. Amazon was the second most frequently impersonated business in 2023. Excuse me. And with about 44,000 reports of scammers using their name and $19 million reported loss. Why do we think so? Well, Amazon is a ubiquitous company that has essentially disrupted the entire shipping industry, making e-commerce so easy. So as such, they've been impersonated by many different scammers for fake orders or deliveries, suspicious purchases. The scammers will call you to confirm usually some sort of big ticket item when they get your login information. And then the membership renewal scams. These are when they say, we are about to charge you another $99 or $100 for your annual renewal for your subscription. And this is not just Amazon, it is Netflix, Apple, Geek Squad, whoever. And they're saying, if you did not approve this purchase or this renewal, call this number or click on this link. So never do that. You always want to go to your account center in order to verify that information. And then the other one will be tech support. This is ubiquitous, universal across different types of organizations, saying that there are issues with your account. Make sure to be aware of that. And then Angie, if you could talk about the parcels that people are getting for free with the QR codes. I'm having a coughing attack, so
Yes, I see that. Sure. So a scam that we've been hearing about lately is that you may get a package from Amazon at your doorstep, right? Something that you did not order. There will be something in there, right? Some kind of a trinket, something of nominal value, but there will be a piece of paper with a QR code in it. And what they want you to do is scan that QR code, right? Which would then install some kind of malicious software, malware on your device. So if you get a package that you did not order from Amazon, if you want, keep the little trinket or whatever it is, but do not do anything with that code. Just throw it away. I would just throw it away. Because that can absolutely, they're leading you down a bad path and you don't want anything to do with it. So throw it away or, send it back to Amazon.
thank you for that recovery. I feel better now. And I'll take back over. As with Amazon and many other organizations that are being impersonated, they do provide to the public information on how to protect yourself from, for example, Prime membership scams. So this comes directly from Amazon's website. They say that there are unexpected emails, calls, texts from impersonators that refer to an unauthorized charge for membership or notice of membership expiration. So these things that we're telling you, these are coming directly from the companies because they're seeing people get scammed. And what we always say is that Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, all of these companies, it is harmful to them when their clients and users get scammed via an impersonation of their company. They're getting calls off the hook saying, someone from Amazon called me and I just lost $2,000. Compensate me for that. And obviously, Amazon's not really able to do that because they were not responsible for those scammers. So You can always look on a company's website to find out what are the ways in which they communicate, what are the common scams that they're seeing, and ways you can report those scams to them. So directly from Amazon, we pulled this from their website. They say visit the message center on Amazon.com or their app to review authentic communication from them. Once again, Amazon.com/report a scam if you want to report some malicious communications that you receive on their behalf. Over to you, Angie.
Thanks, Cole. Another, again, like Cole said, these scammers try to select companies and businesses where the majority of people have either done business with or have an account on, such as Netflix, such as Amazon, UPS, right? So many of us will ship a package with UPS, right? I would like to take a poll if you can, if you're interested in participating in the chat at the bottom. Just type in me or yes if you have received the text message from UPS saying they have a package for you, but they cannot complete delivery because they're missing some personal information and they're trying to get you to click on that link, right? I already see a couple yeses, right? I mean, as my husband says, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So they could just get you at the right time when you are expecting a package and you may say, oh, this must be my package. Oh my goodness, what happens, right? But then a lot of these scams, what they do, these scammers, they try to instill a sense of urgency and they prey on our emotions, on fear and these pressure tactics, right? Well, you have until the end of today to click on this link and update this. Otherwise, your package is going to be rerouted to somewhere else, right? So we get all nervous. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen with my package, right? So we have to take a step back, right? And just think. Is it possible? Has anybody ever gone to UPS and tried to ship a package and not paid 100% or not put in a complete address, right? No, that doesn't happen. We must pay in full. And if there's a piece of an address missing, if you're missing the zip code or something, the person who's helping you when you're going to pay will say, hey, there's something missing we can't complete. So they will never come to you. This is all at the beginning, right? So right there, our logic check would tell us, this is not correct, right? So common scenarios we've seen: payment needed overdue, payment required for delivery, account information needed. One that I just got this week is rescheduled shipment, right? We've attempted delivery, nobody's home, we need a signature. Please click this link, right? So again, they're trying to get us to click a link to either install malware or to get more personal information from us. And like everything, like we said before, the logo, it's the easiest thing in the world to copy. So just because you see what looks like a proper, legitimate logo does not mean that it really is. As we're going to see next page, Cole. Right. So this was an email that I received, right? And it looks pretty legit. UPS, you have one package, the little delivery van, right? You look at it and you're like, oh, wow, okay. But now I'm going to go up and look at who sent me this. When we get emails, right? These are our phishing emails. When we get these emails, the first thing we'd like to ask you to do is take a look at the sender's address, right? And there should be a direct correlation between the address and the person that they report to be representing, right? UPS in this case. So if I go up and see who has sent me this, it says admin 16V46 at UWB, blah, 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 right? That has nothing to do with UPS. Nowhere in that email address does it say UPS.com. So that right there is a major, major flag for me, right? But say I forgot to look up there, didn't catch that. At the very bottom of my email, on the bottom left here of our page, we can see this is coming from barleybridgeschool.edu right? We all know UPS is an American company. It's not from the UK, has absolutely nothing to do with this email address right there, right? So that alone, what I like to tell my groups is when we are when we get these type of emails or text messages, we must put our little detective's cap on and start looking on the page for clues, right? Is there a website? Is there a phone number? Is there a link, right? And what I suggest that you do is you open up a separate browser. Don't click on any links. Open up a separate browser. And if there's a phone number, type in that phone number and see, is that really UPS? Or this email, right? Is this really who they claim to be? Right? And probably 100% of the time, it will not be.
Hmm.
Oh,
And
and
I would,
one more thing. Yes, yes, yes. So if we look at the link here, right? It says UPS-checkout page doc, right? No legitimate, reliable business will ever send you a Word document, right? It would be a .pdf, not doc, right? So that again, there's three major flags here. So this is taken directly from the UPS page. Again, like Cole said, these scams are damaging the reputations of these companies, of UPS, of Amazon. Of course, it hurts them that other people are scamming and pretending to be them. So the only legitimate phone number that UPS will ever call you from is this. The only legitimate texts are these three numbers. And I know there's a ton of emails here, right? A little bit ridiculous. But if we always tell our students, do not answer calls from a number that you don't have in your contact list. If it really is UPS, they will leave you a message. Feel free to take a picture of this page if you'd like. It's definitely too much to memorize. When you're looking at the email, if you get an email, in the past, we would say, yes, look for spelling, grammar mistakes, strange greetings, right? Legitimate businesses will never say hello dear, right? They don't communicate, they don't address their customers as dear, right? Dear sir or madam. A lot of these scammers are coming from outside of the US, and what they will do is create a message in their language. And in the past, they would upload it to Google Translate. Google Translate in the past was not an effective translator. It would translate literally word for word. But now with AI, it is a very good translator. So I don't know really how much this tip is worth it now in the future, right? But if you do get a scam email or text, we recommend delete, block, and report.
we will move on to Netflix phishing scams. So many of us in here might have Netflix accounts, and I can ask the same question in the chat. Feel free to let us know if you've received any Netflix related emails, text messages, calls, hopefully not, saying that you have an issue with your account or that your password needed to be changed or your account is on hold. Netflix will never contact you asking for your account email, phone, password, or payment method that is not within their website or their app or your TV application. So if you get a suspicious email or text from someone claiming to be Netflix, make sure you report it to them, phishing@netflix.com, and then delete that right away. Do not click on the link. If you have clicked on the link or provided personal information, you really want to make sure you change your Netflix password immediately. And going right into the next slide, again, this comes straight from Netflix. They recommend that if you've clicked on a link or shared your personal information, change your password and make a new one that is strong and unique to Netflix. So, like we always say, you should have an individual password and username mix for all of your accounts. I know not everyone does it. Many people are guilty of it, but that is why we discuss the importance of password managers and ways that you can organize your passwords so you don't have to pull your hair out trying to remember all of your different passwords. But getting back to this, Netflix really recommends, you update your password on any other websites or apps if you did use the same email and password combination, as well as to contact your financial institution if you had entered any payment information to a malicious email or text or link. So, as always, you can forward that message to phishing@netflix.com. And as people do that, they will take that into account and make sure that they help protect from those impersonation scams. And over to you, Angie, to discuss IRS refunds.
So, I feel like, these scams kind of come in waves. This was a very popular scam back in 2022 where people were getting letters in the mail from the IRS saying that you have an unclaimed refund. We should be so lucky, right? And like it's here, the legitimate IRS logo, it looks very authentic. And it says, it's asking for your personal and financial information. It wants your bank account so it can deposit this wonderful unclaimed refund that the IRS owes you. So back then, like I said just a little while ago, before AI became so prevalent, the letter was worded very awkwardly, clearly not written by an American person. And just imagine, just step back and take a logic check, would the IRS ever ask you to send a clear phone of your driver's license that clearly displays all four angles taken in a good place with taken in a place with good lighting, right? So that's just not the way we talk. Clearly, this was translated from another language, right? And we know that the IRS we know the only way that government agencies will come in contact with us are through the U.S. Postal Service, right? So this would come from the mail. But another thing, like I said before, that we must put on our detective cap. If I were to go to the IRS and look for the filing date, the deadline for filing tax refunds, right? I would see in that year it was October 17th. And this letter says it's October 16th. So there will always be bits and pieces of information within that communication that you could just Google to check for legitimacy, either a phone number, a date, an email address, a link, or something that you could always double check and verify before you do anything about it.
All right, and we will see. I want to make sure that the audio is working.
An email from the post office.
You can
It's
hear?
working. Yes.
Okay, great. So we're going to play a quick 1-minute video that comes straight from the United States Postal Service about scams impersonating them.
An email from the post office. How do they even know my email address?
They don't. This is a bogus email sent by scammers that looks like it is coming from the Postal Service or even the Postmaster General himself. The email contains fraudulent information about an attempted or intercepted package delivery and provides a link to click on to find out when delivery is expected. But that click can activate a virus, which can steal personal information such as usernames, passwords, or financial account numbers stored on the computer or mobile devices. Here are some telltale signs that an email is bogus. It contains grammar or spelling errors. It states that immediate action must be taken or there'll be dire consequences. Requests personal information under the guise of reconfirming information. The Postal Service does not notify customers about package delivery attempts by email. If you receive such a message, don't open it. Instead, forward it to spam@uspis.gov and then delete the email.
So I think that video is quite quick, and that lady really drives home the point. She scares me when when I watch the video, but I think it's good information to be aware of that. Even the USPS is seeing how often they're being impersonated. So they're helping, yeah, at least in a little video, helping
An email from
to avoid those types of scams. And then Angie, do you want to hit the toll road scams?
Yes, absolutely. So I feel like this scam, I'm in South Florida, so we have SunPass. I know my mother's in New Jersey, she has Easy Pass, and out west you have Fast Track. And I feel like I started getting this text message from SunPass last summer, and it was a text claiming that I owed some money and that I had to click the link and I had to pay, otherwise there will be dire consequences for me. So again, like I said before, the logic check. What do I know about the way SunPass works? I know that SunPass, I have an account and I have a credit card on my account and I have a minimum threshold. So, for example, if my SunPass account falls below $10, it will automatically replenish my account. And I have absolutely no communication with SunPass. I don't have to tell it to do anything. The only thing I need to do is to let SunPass know maybe when I change my credit card to update that. But SunPass will not contact me. So I don't know the way Fast Track works or Easy Pass, but I'm guessing it's going to be something similar, that it's an automatic replenishment. So for these text messages, it really doesn't make sense, right? So it's a scam pretending to be from one of these toll services, requesting prompt payment. And now this year, I've seen they're getting much more aggressive. Before, the text messages used to be about this big, and now they're like this long. And now they're threatening to impound my car, to take away my driver's license, that they're going to bring the police to my house and arrest me. So it's getting much more elaborate, right? Again, those fear mongering, those fear tactics, those pressure tactics, that is the way that these fraudsters work. They try to scare us to immediate a sense of urgency to act immediately before we even have a chance to talk to somebody and say, hey, do you think this is legitimate? And of course, people are going to say, no, it's a scam. Don't do it. They try to get you in the moment before you talk to anybody else.
Absolutely. And feel free if anyone has received those types of toll road text messages, feel free to just put that in the chat. I'm sure most of us have. And I also saw EC, I think, thank you. I know you have to jump to another meeting. We do have, you'll see later on, or maybe you won't, but everyone else will see all of the reporting sources, such as the Internet Crime Complaint Center as well, being one of the probably best places to report scams. So thank you for that comment and thanks for joining us. So jumping into AI scams. So Angie has mentioned really up to this point at how artificial intelligence or AI has really changed the game when it comes to cybersecurity on both ends. And AI is absolutely disrupting our society across all aspects of business, day-to-day life, automation, the workforce. Um, and so just really quick a review of what is artificial intelligence, AI, like we like to boil it down into something that makes sense, right? And it's taking machines or software that can and making them almost think like human beings. But because they're computers, they can think and iterate thousands and millions of times faster than an individual human being can. So if you take that and you iterate over millions and millions of learning lessons, AI is this thing that can think almost like us and can provide answers. But what it can also do is it provides potential to be misused. So I like to always compare the development of AI to the discovery of fire. Fire has an amazing potential to cook our food, to provide warmth, and provide light, right? But it can also be used to burn down your house. So I like to view AI in a similar sense. It's got so much power, and with power comes the risk and the reward. So looking at AI scams and how AI is being used to scam people for their money and their information, the first thing we discuss is voice cloning, where in just a 15-second phone call, I can record your voice and clone it. And all of a sudden go out and post your voice, cloned voice on social media saying whatever I want. Or if I have your social security number as well, I can go to the bank and open up a credit card or an account under your name and basically violate your privacy rights using your voice for malicious purposes. And then we look at deepfakes. Deepfakes are basically using AI to not only clone your voice, but to clone your persona, your image. Um, I'm sure that after this webinar, if someone really wanted, they could record myself and Angie talking and create a fake deepfake of the two of us talking. And so that's why it's very important that we are all on alert and, like Angie said, have our detective caps on when we go about seeing information on our phones, computers, social media, etc. Unfortunately, I had a conversation with a lady who lives up in Sacramento, but she came down to San Diego to stay with her sister, and she was scammed out of $6,000. And she told me that she was talking with this Kansas City celebrity who, really became fond of her and they were talking and, you know, she said she couldn't fathom that it wasn't him because she even caught him middle of the day, 12 noon. She texted him and said, "Send me a picture of yourself with a sign right behind you saying that you wrote saying, 'Hi Joyce, it's me.'" And he did, and he sent the text message or the photo with him, the Kansas City celebrity, and the sign saying just that. And that's when it hit me, and I was like, "Wow, I'm so sorry for you because that I can do that myself." It is with deepfakes and with AI technology, it is totally possible for me to type in and say, take a picture of Keanu Reeves or of Elon Musk or of anyone, make a picture of him and have a sign in the background that's handwritten that says, "Hello, Joyce, it's me." And she really could not fathom that that was possible. And so that's what we're seeing is AI is being used in ways that people could not even imagine it could be used for, and that's how they're getting scammed, and they're becoming victims of this crime. So other ways in which AI is used for scams. The grandparent scam, I think we've all seen this, where scammers are using voice cloning technology to call you up and say, "Hey, grandma, grandpa, it's me," or "Hey, mom or dad, it's me," and you're like, "Johnny, is that you?" And yeah, yeah, it's me, Johnny. I'm in a car accident, and I really don't tell mom and dad, but I really need you to send me money or send me gift cards or wire this money to here because I don't want them to know right now. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to handle my car or legal issues or the lawyer, whatever. And we're seeing this a lot. People are getting hooked by this, and how do you protect yourself? Awareness is always key. Angie mentioned the sense of urgency. Anytime that you're receiving communication that you need to act now, that is the biggest red flag of all. You should always be skeptical of incoming communication, especially if it's not from a known contact. Um, Always hang up and contact that loved one or that person directly via their phone number that you know to be theirs. And what we always say is that you should have a code word amongst your family. Establish it now. And if you don't, the code word could be chicken, or it could be, a place that you went on vacation together. Or if you don't have a code word, just ask a question that no one else would know other than your loved one. And immediately we're seeing that the scammers will just hang up because they can't possibly know what your
Mm.
grandson's middle name is or what trip you went on 3 years ago, right? So use those ways to challenge if you picked up the phone in the first place. Ideally, we're always saying don't even pick up the phone if it's an unknown number. And then always review your social media settings. So and be careful about what you're posting out there on the internet. Once it's posted, there's no pulling it back. Um, So that's a little bit about how AI is being used in the grandparent scam. Tips to protect yourself from other AI scams. Like we said, interrupt the caller, ask a question only that person would know, establish that password or that code word. Never, never, never send money through untraceable means like gift cards or cryptocurrency. Here in San Diego, the district attorney specifically said that these cryptocurrency or Bitcoin ATM machines are running rampant for scams. So if you see a Bitcoin ATM machine and you are not an expert in cryptocurrency, do not use them. There is nothing good coming out of them. I am not an expert on cryptocurrency, but I know that it is not a standard or approved form of payment unless you're doing something illicit. Um, and then report all instances of fraud to, you can go reportfraud.ftc.gov, and we'll have a couple other links and sources that we will talk through in a little bit for, well, I guess here we are. Reportfraud.ftc.gov. That is the Federal Trade Commission's national link for reporting fraud. And here's what we kind of say, and I know it makes people uneasy. We are asking people to report because that is the only way that state, local, and federal government agencies can go prosecute these scammers and potentially get that money back. But what it requires and what it typically entails is for you to provide them with all of your information. So when we look, I think maybe it's 2 slides down. This is the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, and they're going to ask you for your email address, your mailing address, your phone number, description of the incident, bank account information. So while we say, keep that information safe, when you're reporting to, a federal or state organization or entity being scammed, you're going to have to provide a lot of information. And some people feel uneasy about that. So that's just something we want you to know about and be aware of when you're reporting. And reporting is really a good way that you can not only potentially gain your money back. There are some ways that if you're reporting scams within 24 48 hours, there are potentially ways that the banks can get that money back. I want to make sure that
Paul, if I can interrupt you here as well. So only about 1 in 20 seniors will report fraud or a scam. And while reporting, you may think, well, what's the sense? You can't recover my money or whatever. But there is a lot of value in reporting. Number one, it could serve as like a public announcement, public service announcement to the community. Imagine if the FBI gets 3,000 reports in about 2 weeks of a new scam. These things are evolving all of the time. There's new scams every single day. So if the FBI keeps getting reports of a scam, then they can publish it here on the IC3. And if people are looking here, they would know. So it kind of serves to alert the community. Another thing, when you report to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, what they do with that information is they will share that information with about 2,800 law enforcement officers throughout the country. So again, that is like a public service announcement. So imagine if, my small town that I grew up in, New Jersey, which is not very, like 5,000 people. Imagine if a law enforcement officer gets notification of a scam. Maybe they could post it on their local website in the police station. So if people are looking there, they would be aware and they get maybe this text or this letter. They'll say, oh, yes, I did see that and I read about it. That definitely is a scam that's going on. So there is a lot of value to report a scam.
Yes, and I see that, Maria. Thank you for your question about what do they do with the complaints. I know Angie kind of hit on that with, making other law enforcement entities aware, spreading that awareness, and also prosecution. But I think it is also important to mention not only the financial costs of being scammed, but the emotional and mental health effects. That same lady that I spoke to that lost $6,000, I don't even think the money was the biggest thing. I think the mental after effects were the saddest thing. Her daughter is actually a district attorney up in Northern California, and her daughter absolutely took this and shamed her. She took away a lot of her independence. She made it so that her family was monitoring her phone. She would even send her the lady's grandkids into the store with her anytime she went to the store to make sure she wasn't buying gift cards. And she always reminds her that she was scammed. And that really kills me to hear because we're seeing people that are becoming victims of a crime. These are not people that fell for a joke, you know, right? We like people often say, "Oh, you fell for it. You're silly. That was your fault." No, she was a victim of a crime, and now her family is actually making it worse by treating her as someone who should not have the independence or the dignity of a normal human being. They're removing her independence. So the reason why we also report is that oftentimes, like here in San Diego, we have the Aging and Independent Services arm of the San Diego County, and they provide additional resources such as mental health support and scam mental health resources after the fact to help and navigate that situation with your family, with yourself, with your finances. And that is where we're seeing extremely important. So I just want to sit on this to make it very clear because we have some time. So if you are the victim, if you become the victim of a scam, right, what should you do? The first things that we always say is take a step back. Do not, but as hard as this is, do not blame yourself. You were the victim of a crime, just like as if you were mugged or robbed on the street. And we always say report it immediately to your local law enforcement. So the local police, so that they're aware, because oftentimes they can take a police report. Whether it's we have the Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is at the federal level, but also state and local governments can receive those types of reports, whether it's the Adult Protective Services, the sheriff's office, district attorney. It does depend on where you are. Some of these organizations are better trained than others to receive these types of reports. I'm seeing someone is saying your audio is okay. Can people hear? Okay, you can hear me. Okay, thank you for that. Um, so just making sure that you are kind of hitting all of those levels of law enforcement and reporting agencies. We mentioned the FTC here. We also have IC3.gov. That is the Internet Crime Complaint Center, arm of the FBI. And they can actually take reports of even near misses, which is you haven't been scammed, but you almost did. And you want to report it so that other people don't fall to the same type of scam. So that's really good that the IC3 provides.
Can I jump in here, Cole?
Yeah.
One thing also that I want to say is that if you look at the top of this page at the tabs, there is an entire tab dedicated to elder fraud, right? That is how much fraud, how many scams are being perpetrated on elder adults, that there is an entire page dedicated on the FBI's site to elder fraud. So that really says something about what's happening nowadays.
Yeah, thank you, Angie. And I think 2024, the FBI's report said that about $16.6 billion was reported lost nationwide. And of that, about 5 billion, so over 25%, $5 billion was reported lost amongst older adults.
And I would
by-
venture to say that is grossly underrepresented, right? Because people either don't report, like the lady you met, right, who's afraid of losing her independence, or they just don't know where to report. So that number probably is very, very low compared to the reality.
Exactly. Reported numbers are always much lower, and you can imagine that older adults they're getting scammed at those rates, 25%, over 25% of the total national reported numbers, and yet they still have less access to the internet because of digital literacy and things like that. So really just wanted to provide you with some of that information. We do have some customer support numbers here, and I know it's a little blurry the way it comes out, but we pulled these phone numbers from commonly impersonated organizations. If you do feel like calling a phone number is preferred to the online links. And like we said, we will be sending out a follow-up handout after this and recording of this video in the future if you do so need that.